Hi, welcome to this demonstration of Solasta, the new regulatory reporting technology. Solasta is a Jersey startup incorporated to construct financial technology solutions primarily for the accountancy industry. The first solution will concentrate on the submission of annual accounts to the Luxembourg GAAP standard. The Solasta Luxembourg GAAP solution will take a standard Excel template which contains the structure of the annual accounts and populate that template from operational data sets from systems like Yardi without any cut and paste. The Solasta solution will generate a PDF document that contains the annual accounts or produce it in an Excel format and will submit those accounts to the Luxembourg business registers. The Solasta solution integrates Sheetloom automation technology to transform the regulatory templates into the actual accounts. The Sheetloom technology resides on the AWS cloud as a secure SaaS application, and enterprise operations can integrate that technology into their own AWS cloud to maximize security. So why use Sheetloom technology for regulatory reporting? Sheetloom provides state-of-the-art templating technology that allows organizations to parameterize their Excel spreadsheets and merge operational data sets into those Excel templates without any cut and paste. Sheetloom scales out enterprise decision-making across organizations by ensuring that spreadsheets are consistent enterprise-wide. It also allows organizations to write back into Excel and see those results appearing in operational systems. So this is particularly important when considering adjustments to trial balances. You can enter them into Excel and see the results appearing in your accountancy system of record. Sheetloom also provides audit facilities out of the box. You can see who's logged in, you can see who constructed the templates, you can see who built the spreadsheets, which templates they were constructed from, when and where. There's a full history audit of all the workflows that pass through the Sheetloom system. Sheetloom also maintains versions of all templates, all sheets, and all the individual records within your Excel spreadsheets that you choose. Sheetloom workflows are exceptionally easy to add. An admin user simply designs their template on their desktop using a vanilla plain version of Excel. There are no plugins required. Once the admin user is happy with the template, it can then be loaded into the Sheetloom SaaS application. Then the admin user can link and associate data sources with that template. These data sources can be any database, any CSV, any group of PDF documents, and then that template can be published. Once a normal user connects into the Sheetloom system, they can simply request a spreadsheet from the template. They may be prompted for one or two parameters, or the user's role can be used to filter the data that enters finally into the spreadsheet. And once the request has been received, the data sources are then processed, The results are then integrated into a generated spreadsheet, which can then be distributed around the organization. And now we can see Sheetloom and the Solasta templates in action. I'd like to take you through some of the assets that we'll be using for the Solasta Sheetloom demonstration. And the first of the assets is the template that we're going to use to generate the Excel spreadsheets. So if I just double click on that template, you can see it's composed of a number of tabs along the bottom. The pink tabs are used to generate the PDF for the annual accounts. And if I just increase the size, you can see that's just basically the standard balance sheet here. There's also a profit and loss sheet also. And if we skip along to the standing data, this is just all mocked up data at the moment that will be replaced by indexing into some of the PDF assets that we'll show you in a minute that contain the company registration information. And then if we have a look at the trial balance page, you can see that's basically empty. There are no accountancy details there. And we're going to have a comparative trial balance page as well. Now, all the most important assets are referenced via named ranges. So if you look at our set of named ranges here, you can see that we've got a named range defined as period end. So that's where the period end information on the trial balances go. And then if we select previous period end, you can see where the previous period end information will be written. And equally, we have got a registration section where you can see where the company registration information will be written as well. And that's the three key data sets that will be used to populate the spreadsheet when the template is woven inside of Sheetloom. Now we'll just move on to some of the other assets here. So you can see that we've got two company balance, trial balances here. If I just open up the first with Excel and I select this information and perhaps increase the size, you can see it's just the basics of our account balance. You have an account code here, the account name, forward balance, debits, credits, and then very importantly, we've got a period end number. And I believe there's two period ends in here. So you can see that switched from 2021 to 2022. And you can see that's for one company. So we've got two period ends for one company. If I close that down, we can open up the second trial balance. Just double click on that. And again, the information looks identical, except that we have a different company registration number. Now, these trial balances can be pulled automatically from your accountancy system, or they can be loaded in as CSVs. And in the demonstration today, they'll be loaded in as CSVs. And then when we have a look at the last set of assets, which are company registration documents. These are mocked up company registration documents that you would get from the Luxembourg account office. So if we look at the first, you can see these should look quite familiar to you. And we're going to process these and extract the relevant information automatically from inside of Sheetloom. So that's for the first company with the set of trial balances that we have. And this is the second company. Okay, so that concludes our tour of all the assets that we'll be using for this demonstration. Okay, we're going to begin by logging into the Solasta system, which is hosted on AWS. So we just sign in with a username and password, and it's very easy to integrate this with single sign-on and multi-factor authentication if required. What we have in front of us is a completely empty version of Sheetloom. So we're going to start with the basics here. And we'll begin with uploading some trial balances in the form of a CSV. And we introduced those trial balance CSVs in the previous section under the assets. Okay, so we'll begin by uploading our first CSV. So we just select the file. So here we are. This is for the first company. Open that, and you can see it's got all the fields have been detected here. I'm just going to click on trial balances and change the table name from the default to trial balances. And what will happen behind the scenes is a new table will be created called trial balances, and the CSV data will be automatically imported after I press upload. So that's happened very quickly, and you can see we've got a new table called trial balances here. If you click on that, you can see we have one CSV, and if we do a preview on that, you can see all the data in the CSV in our trial balances table. So we're going to add to that the second set of trial balances from the second company, and that also matches the structure, so it's detected that all the fields are identical, and then we can upload it. So you can see now that we have one table called trial balances, which contains two CSV documents, and that's it. We now have our table. So in the last section, we loaded in the trial balances. Now we need to load in the individual company registration documents, and I'll show you how to do that in the PDFs section. So what we're aiming to do is build a table called registrations that contains the extracted fields that we need from each of the company registration documents. In order to do that, we need to initially upload one PDF document, which we have here. We're going to upload 10 in total. And again, we're just going to change the default name to registrations. This will be the table that contains all the PDFs. So we upload the first document, and then we can click on that table name and then add in the other 10. So this could be 100 PDFs, could be 1,000. We could just bulk load the whole lot up here and then click on the upload. And that's all the PDF documents for our example loaded in. Now these are all in binary format, so we need to extract the text fields. And in order to do that, we have a mapping document that we produced earlier, which tells us where all the fields are in the textual version of the PDF. So I'm just going to add that field map in, and then I'm going to use that to extract all the text from all the PDF documents. So this is actually very quick. This is processing 10 documents, but it's very quick across multiple documents. So that's the text extracted from the PDF documents. And if you just look at one example, excuse me, you can see this is the text that has been extracted, and you can see the fields that are going to be extracted from this PDF document as well. They're all colored in a highlighted manner. And the location of each of these fields is defined by the map file that we have just uploaded. Okay, so now that we've converted all our PDFs to text, we can generate a CSV document from each of the individual PDFs. Again, this is quite quick to run across hundreds of PDF documents. And once we've done that, we can click on Table and we can see all the extracted columns from each of the PDF documents. Now, this will be the data that gets injected into the templates for each individual company registration. So we're going to have an example of adding in one company registration number, and you'll be able to see all this data here injected into the template. That's basically the standing data extracted from the company registration document. Now, in the last couple of sections, we showed how to upload the registrations from PDF documents, and we showed how the trial balances could be loaded in from CSVs. Now we're going to upload a template and then weave an actual spreadsheet from that template. So if we hit the upload button, choose our template, open the template, and then upload. You can see here we now have our uploaded template, and if we push the weave button here, we can give our give our spreadsheet a name. So if you call it by the company name, and then we weave the spreadsheet for that company, we fill in a few parameters. So first off is the registration number, and then the period end, and then we fill in, or select rather, all the policies which are applicable for this organization. And then we just hit the weave button, and Sheetloom then begins the process of looking up the information for that company and injecting it into the spreadsheet. And then if we click on the download button, we can then see this generated spreadsheet. So this is all the trial balance information. Again, we'll go back to our named ranges, and if we choose period end, you can see this is all the trial balance information that originated from the CSVs, and that is in the trial balance tab. And you can see here from the trial balance, the spreadsheet has been able to allocate the appropriate accountancy hierarchies from the accounting codes. And then if we look at the previous period data set, again, very similar. It's injected all the previous period trial balance information and then linked that to the accountancy hierarchies. Okay, and then if we look at registrations, you can see here that it has added in the data that has been extracted from the PDF documents. And from all that information, the registrations, the previous trial balances, the trial balances, it's then able to fill in the accountancy PDF document that's going to be generated from these pages, or sheets rather, inside of Excel. So here's our calculated balance sheet. Just jump back to that again. That's our calculated balance sheet, and here is our profit and loss statement. So that's the accounts generated, and we're now able to send them off to the Luxembourg accounts office. If we go back into Sheetloom. I'll just close down this this generated sheet. Save. We go back into Sheetloom. You can see we've got a section here called Spreadsheets. And we now have a folder which is the same name as the template, which contains all the individual generated company spreadsheets. So if we run this operation again and choose a different company, and we weave for a different company, we just give it the new company name, and then we hit the weave button. Again, add in the next company registration number and the next period end, and then perhaps select a different set of policies. Then we push the weave button. We get the second set of accounts generated from the same template. So this is where we get the automation. This is where we get the productivity from. We have one template which we can use to generate any number of accounts. And we're nearly done generating the new spreadsheet for the second set of accounts. So if we then go back into our spreadsheets folder, click on Luxembourg Annual Accounts 2, you can now see that we have two entries for two company accounts. And if we select generate the PDF from that Excel spreadsheet that's been generated, we can generate our PDF document. If we just give it a moment, we can view the PDF document in our Files section. And if we then download that document, you can see the accounts have been generated and we have all the appropriate balance figures in there. So in the previous section, we showed how the individual company accounts are woven from a similar template. But you may be wondering how those specific registration documents and specific trial balances for each company find their way into the evaluated spreadsheet. So if we download the latest version of a template, and you can see here that we keep all the previous versions. So if we download the latest version and just open up that Excel document, you may recall that we have a set of named ranges defined here. Now all these named ranges link back into Sheetloom. So when the sheet gets evaluated, we basically look up the named ranges in our pattern manager and then evaluate each of them. So if we go back into Sheetloom, I'll show you how that evaluation is done. So inside Sheetloom, we have what's called a pattern manager here. And essentially we've got one pattern which has been predefined called Luxembourg Annual Accounts. And if you click on that pattern, you can see that we have what we call 5 data stitches associated with it. And if you remember the named range name, it's basically the pattern and then a dot and then a specific data stitch. So if we click on period end, for example, we can see here we've got an SQL statement. And that's referencing a table called trial balances, and that's the table that we created when we loaded in the CSVs. And you can see here that we have 2 parameters associated with this data stitch. So when it gets evaluated, it effectively pops up a form, and then we basically add in the registration number, add in the period end, submit that, and what you're seeing here is essentially the data that gets injected into the spreadsheet. So that's where the magic happens. And the benefit of having a library of SQL statements effectively common across all templates and all evaluated spreadsheets is it keeps everything consistent. So if an organization determines that the trial balances should be pulled from another location, or they should be adjusted to take currencies into consideration, then that can all be done in one simple SQL statement and then broadcast across the whole set of templates. So we'll just take one other example here, which is the registration information. So you may recall that we created a table called registrations. So that's PDF registrations, as you can see here. And when we evaluate this rather elaborate piece of SQL, you can see in here when we supply a company registration number, it's giving us the standing data that was injected into the spreadsheet. So that's how all the magic works. It simply links each named range inside the template to a piece of SQL which is in our pattern manager. So the last feature of Sheetloom that I'm going to show you is our write back feature, which enables the end users to make adjustments in the generated spreadsheet and then write those adjustments back to operational systems. So the classic example would be adjustments to the trial balances in our accountancy example. They would need to be written back to your accountancy system. So if we have a look at generated sheets and we look at the generated sheet for our first company here, if we download that sheet, and again, we can see that we have all the versions of all the sheets that have been generated for that company. If we just download the latest version, save that off, and then open it up, and then we go to the sort of trial balance section. So we can just click on the named range, takes us to the trial balance section. And you can see here there's an opportunity to make adjustments. So if I just type in a whole sort of random set of data in here, we might want these figures to be written back to the operational system. Now the way that's done in Sheetloom is that we can mark up any grid inside Excel for what we call time travel. And each time the sheet is woven, we basically take a copy of that grid. So if we click on the trial balance section and we mark that for time travel using this definition here, this style here, trial balance.timetravel.save, each time the sheet's woven, this entire grid will be written back to the time travel section inside of Sheetloom. So we've made adjustments here. I'm just going to save those off and then upload the sheet back into Sheetloom. We can upload and then perhaps go to the download section. Okay, download section, and here's the sheet that we've adjusted. So we can basically upload that spreadsheet again. That's the upload done, and then we can reweave it. So we weave again, and we enter in the file name, and then we see the same form pop up. In the next version of Sheetloom, all these fields will be automatically populated, but for now we'll just manually enter them in again. Press Weave, and this is the sheet being re-evaluated, and I will shortly show you how the trial balance information with the corrections has been stored back into Sheetloom. So if you go to our time travel section, you can see the template. Click on the template. You can see the individual companies. Click on the company. We can see the trial balance named range. Click on the trial balance named range, and we can see each of the capture points, each of the write backs from that section. So if we look at the first write back and we do a preview on it, you can see this is all the information from the data that was injected into the spreadsheet. If we look now at the second capture point, do a preview, you can see it has all the adjustments that we added into the spreadsheet. So these can then be written back to the accountancy operational system to keep them automatically in sync with Sheetloom. Thank you for listening.